What I got, 9:27.
I think it runs fast. Well, you know, my watch does.
Oh,
My
the
phone's
phone's
fine.
saying, yeah.
You'd think the watch, it's a, you know, it's one of those
Want that. There's other courses.
good.
You might give that to Kenny.
Well, everybody's quieted down. I have got about a minute left. I'll just go ahead and get started a little early. First of all, I'd like to welcome you all to the first meeting in 25 of the Morgan County Commissioners. We'll begin with a pledge. We have a veteran with us? I'm here in the meeting. You're the man. Would you lead us in the pledge? And then we'll have I have a little word on a prayer, and we'll take care of that as soon as you're finished. Thank you, Jeff.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to give a little reading before our prayer. We've lost some good people in 24. I hope you got a chance to watch some of the funeral of Jimmy Carter. I did that yesterday afternoon. I thought I'd just watch a little bit and watched about 4 hours worth. It's amazing to listen about a story about a good man. One of the other people we lost in the county, Eddie Parker, passed away after our last meeting, and he was the husband of Tammy and a friend of all. I got a Christmas card from a fellow, it goes to our meeting, the Quaker meeting. Both of these guys were on, he was on the Richard Lugar's, I guess you'd say, committee, or he helped run when Richard Lugar was mayor. He goes to our meeting, and one of the fellows there named Jim Moores passed away. And he put this in his Christmas card, and I'd like to share it with you because I thought of that gentleman, and I thought about President Carter. And they both have this similarity. Minister for, his name was Chris Henry. He said, "What if we honored this man of faith in action by doing what he did? What if we chose gentleness over meanness, cooperation over condemnation, and hope over despair, and connection over dissension? What if we, all of us, tried to be better?" I'd like for you to have a moment of silence and reflect. Thank you. I love silence. The first order of business is reorganization. That's where we decide who's going to be the president of the board, basically. And since I am that, fortunately, we decided some time ago to rotate the office of president. So I just want to make a few comments before I open up the nominations. It's a pleasure to serve this board, but it's not, in serving this board, it's sort of like I guess you say being a team leader for a little bit, but you work with a team. And I've been real proud of the last year that we've had. We've had a really good year of teamwork. It wasn't me, it wasn't Kenny, it was all of us. Josh, I mean, that's the way we go. So I thank you all for, in the committee up here, the board up here, the people and the employees, Laura, all the people, department heads. It's fun to work. So with that, I'm going to kind of open up the nominations for the president for the 2025.
Brian Kyer makes a nomination of Kenny Hill to serve as our chairman for the 2025 year.
I'll second that.
Brian Kyer moves to close nominations.
I'll second that. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Forget it, Kenny. Thank you, and good luck, and have a good year.
Thank you. We have the minutes for the 12-16 Commissioners' minutes. Entertain a motion for that if everybody's had a chance to go over that.
I'll move. Go ahead.
You're moving?
I am.
I'll second.
Got a motion, a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Next order of business, we have claims. You know, we've had them updated and revised. They added the January 3rd payroll to that, so you've actually got 3 pays plus the longevity. Total pay amount for the claims is, payroll is $3,418,778.47. The payable claims is $5,780,393.11, making a total payroll with accounts payable $9,199,199,171.58. If y'all had a chance to go over that, and Linda, is there any holds on this? No holds? I'd entertain a motion.
Brian Kyer makes a motion that we approve total payroll and accounts payable claims.
I'll second.
Second, any further questions from the board? Any comments from the audience? Not hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Treasurer's report and the clerk's report. Motion that, not a motion, but just that we received the reports. Unless you got any questions for either one of them. I see Tammy's here.
We just acknowledge that we received it.
Both did it. Tammy, and I'm so sorry about your loss, little lady. Next order of business, unofficial detour agreement, State Road 252 with the county and NDOT.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
NDOT has a small structure replacement project planned on State Road 252 between Sedgwick Road and Wetstein Road. So due to that, they are not allowed to set a state detour on a local road route. So in anticipation of this project, we anticipate a lot of local traffic not following that state detour and using our local roads to skirt the project. Therefore, we've identified Wetstein Road, Old Railroad Road, Red Bud Lane, and Sedgwick Road as the closest local detour around the project. We'll monitor this route before and after construction to see if there's any damage. If there is any damage due to this project, NDOT will work with us to reimburse us to fix that. So this is what this agreement's for. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer it.
Any questions for Justin?
Just a comment, really, Justin. I'm making this kind of for the correspondent too, but since a lot of people be going on that road, on Whetstein is what I'm looking at. Darrell French lives on that road, and he's made a historic site. That's where the old Franklin Martinsville Railroad went through, and he rebuilt it. Got the right-of-way there and a sign. I hope he'll probably get it cleared off, but you get a little history as you're going down through there of how, and that was the first railroad in Morgan County. It was on flat rail. I've never seen anything, but if you go to our museum, you can see it. It's just a piece of flat iron over a piece of wood. So what they did is amazing. But it looks like that's what we have to do for about 30 days.
Yes.
And I'll look forward to going by and saying, waving and having a good time with Daryl.
Sounds good.
No other questions or comments? I'd go ahead and entertain a motion on this unofficial detour.
I'll move we approve.
Got a motion from Mr.
Second.
Adams, second by Mr. Collier. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Justin. Court service.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Court Services is requesting approval to apply for the Juvenile Community Corrections Grant through the Indiana Department of Correction. This grant is on the state fiscal year, so it runs July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. And this funds our statutorily required juvenile intake officer, Jeff Fadre. Does anyone have any questions about this?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm terrible at acronyms. I just am. And what's JCC?
Juvenile Community Corrections.
Juvenile what?
Community Corrections.
I got you. It's, okay, I read that was what you're going to do, but I didn't figure it out. So thanks, JCC.
Yes.
All right, thanks.
Flip to the next page, Don. It's actually got everything. we
Oh,
need
it's
to
got it
know
all
right
spelled
there,
out
sir.
there. Huh?
Yep.
Ah, there it
Not
is.
any other questions from Miranda? I'd entertain a motion on this juvenile community correction grant.
Makes a motion that we accept the JCC, Warren County Court Services, grant application not to exceed $185,000.
We got a motion by Mr. Collier. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Adams. Any further questions from the board or from the audience? Not hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next order of business, uniform conflict of interest disclosure statement. We have one from one of our fellow cohorts here on the board. Entertain a motion on this conflict of interest.
So move.
Got a motion by Mr. Adams. I'll second the motion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion
Abstain.
carries 2-0 with Mr. Collier abstaining. Next order of business before you got the annual certification of what we had to do for conflict of interest and everything else. We got compliance that we have to do with Indiana Code 36-1-21-6 and also 36-1-20-2. Basically, the rest of the office holders, other than council commissioners, got to comply with the 36-1-22.216 and entertain a motion on all of these. It's been signed. Or you can do them the commissioners, council, and then do the other office holders separate. It's up to you guys'
Are we
discretion.
missing any?
I don't see Joe in there.
We got them all.
Joe Crone. Oh, it was for past,
Yes.
not for future. I'm sorry, I should have understood that. Well, they, all right, you got everybody.
I'll do the blanket. I will move that we accept the annual certification pursuant to IC Code 36-1-21-6 and IC Code 36-1-20.2-16.
Got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
Any further questions or any comments from the audience that don't understand what this is all about? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Annual contract. You actually got 9 of them before you. First one's going to be Humane Society. You want to do them, I'm assuming, one at a time, or you want to do the whole group of all 9? If so, I'll read them off in the amounts. I know we have different departments here. I would think we'd do it one at a time, but it's up to you, gentlemen. I'm easy.
Well, the only question I had, I think it's good that we mention all the money that we make
They
contracts with.
can't hear you on TV.
No.
What?
They're not hearing Kenny on TV, so they asked for.
You're gonna have to speak up.
Speak up. I'll make it easier for you. Morgan County Humane Society in the amount of $82,353 is what it is for this coming year. On the emergency call, it's another $9,000. Entertain a motion on that, or any questions on that?
No.
Is there anybody here from the Humane Society? I'm not seeing anybody.
That's a 6-month,
Oh, it's a 6-month. I thought it was a year.
6-month,
Oh, no.
until we can
Oh,
the ordinances that we're working on to have a uniform county ordinance and hopefully have the
Okay.
town, cities, outliers
Okay.
join us so that we have a unified
okay.
county.
Let me correct myself. 6 months on that only.
That-
The
That should be
emergency-
the only one that's 6 months.
Yeah. I'd entertain a motion on that.
Brian Kyer makes a motion that we accept the proposed contract for the
Second.
Morgan County Humane Society.
I'll second.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. The next one is Sycamore Services. You've actually got two for them, for the County Connect, and then also for a contractual obligation that they have. The one is in the amount of $47,000, the other one's in the amount about $54,000.
What's the DBA? I'm sorry, I don't know what DBA is.
Doing business as, they're the Transportation Connect.
Is there anybody here from Sycamore? I don't see them, but. Not seeing them. I'd entertain a motion on Sycamore Services. Mr. Adams? I'll go ahead and make a motion. We approve the Sycamore Services for the Connect as well as the Dagon lease obligations that they have. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a first and a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We
Abstain.
got two in favor of, one abstention on Sycamore Land Trust. Moving right on along, Morgan County Fair, 4-H, not seeing anybody from the fair. Yearly contracts in the amount of $150,000. They do a great job out there, and I can't thank them enough, that's for sure.
Move to
We're-
approve.
Got a motion by Mr. Adams to move to
Second.
approve, second by Mr. Collier. Any further questions from the audience?
And just, I'm gonna make a quick note. I said this years and years and years ago, and I still believe it now. If we could spend more money on projects like 4-H, maybe we could spend less in the future on our jails.
I
Amen
agree
to
with
that.
that.
Absolutely.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried 3-0. Next on the list is Socoa Aging and In-House Solutions in the amount of $11,000. I'd entertain a motion on that one unless there's somebody here that wants to speak. I don't know any of them myself, so.
So moved.
Got a motion by Mr. Collier,
A second.
second by Mr. Adams. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Hilldale Cemetery Ditch, we have that every year. It's in the amount of $2,500 for the Cemetery Association.
It's not the ditch.
Not the
That
ditch.
was our last meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hilldale Cemetery Association, correct me, I am so sorry. We had our drainage board before this meeting, and we was talking about cemetery ditch, and I am so sorry, folks.
Well, they better not bury him in the ditch. I'll move to approve the
Got a
cemetery.
motion by Mr. Adams to approve,
Second.
second by Mr. Collier. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Chaplain Services, in the amount of $40,000 for Mr. George Watkins. I'd entertain a motion. I don't see George here.
Move to approve that. And I want to comment real briefly on before I do that, the cemetery, I asked one time about why we were giving money to a cemetery, but the county has unfortunately at times need for cemeteries that come up and that we have to do. So that's why we contract with Hillsdale. The chaplain service, I don't know if you know the people that work with that, but unfortunately, they're busier than we wish they were. So we have situations where chaplains are not only needed, but are critical to the situation that helps the community. So I'll move we approve the chaplain services.
We got a motion by Mr. Adams to approve the chaplain service professional agreement. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Collier. Any further questions or comments? I'm just gonna say one comment real fast. George provides a great service. I know he works with EMS. He also works for the fire departments and also law enforcement, even though the jail's got their own chaplain, I know. But I think it is a great service, and I know some of the people that utilize George, I know they really appreciated it in the past, so.
It's never a good situation if we're calling George in.
No, it ain't.
And from the EMS, fire, police side, I think we appreciate an ear to talk to.
Yep. Go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor of or we need a first and a second, I'm sorry.
Second.
First and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Last one. I know they're here, and I know Doug's just dying to talk to us, or Lisa, or David. Morgan County Soil and Water in the amount of $66,100, and can't thank them enough for their service as well, that's for sure, but it's your grand time, Doug. Lisa.
Go for it.
I appreciate you guys just showing up to talk to us.
Well, you know, I appreciate the education. This is all new for me, government in action, and I think this is your 5th year? Yeah. So thank you for being patient and educating us as we go along, and mostly thank you for the support. I don't know if you guys have seen, we've got a few signs through the county and some places that we've used our local taxpayer money for cover crop, and it's holding the ground in. When the snow melts, everything would run off, and there's a few spots that we've got some cover crop in, and we've gotten signs in all those spots to help more people be more aware. And Lisa does an awesome job, as always, wearing many, many hats. But thank you guys for supporting us to look at getting her some help, because she's certainly holding down the fort a lot of days.
I understand.
And whatever you
Go
got.
ahead, Lisa.
Well, I did prepare something for you guys because I don't get to talk to you a whole lot since we don't have to come and do too many requests. But I want to keep you guys updated and let you know we do have an annual meeting coming up where there will be a more in-depth annual report. But so the funding that we receive from you guys is much appreciated, and it's very instrumental in allowing our district to do a lot of different projects and engage all ages of the public and provide all sorts of resources. Some of the things we've done here in the last year include technical assistance and giving guidance to landowners who are wanting to be able to implement conservation practices at home or on their property. We've done a lot of ag outreach events and adult workshops. We've participated in summer youth camp programs, classroom lessons. We've done, I think, 8 or 9 weed wrangles in 2024. And those covered acres of property within your county parks, your city parks, and even some of the state forests here in the district. That's a really valuable resource to you guys alone as property managers. We're able to get the public involved to provide that free service and help manage some of those grounds. So we also have done educational presentations at fairs and festivals. We've hosted field days. We've provided financial opportunities through the local conservation grant program that Doug was talking about. Not only is that putting some cover crops out in the winter, but we've had people use that on livestock farms, forestry properties and stuff. And so we're able to give them technical assistance and then also help do a cost share program with them to be able to help them pay for some of that. We also do a lot of informational outreach as far as like mailings, newspaper articles, magazine articles, and emails. So we've tried and keep up with what's current in conservation. and providing soil health and carbon sequestration is a big thing right now. Farmers are looking at a lot of carbon programs that are willing to pay them money to do some of these practices on their ground and improve the soil health. And so we're helping them work towards that here in Morgan County. That's going to affect your climate change. We're also working with forestry owners in that same aspect. We started a new stream health and waterway monitoring program called Hoosier River Watch this year, and we were able to start that in some of our county parks. And working towards sustainable practices, especially like there's a lot of home gardeners and smaller scale farmer market gardeners in Morgan County now, and we're trying to help support that ag, be an extension into that field of ag right now as it grows. We've provided trees and pollinator habitat seeds, cover crop seeds, and free soil testing. We are looking forward to 2025. We have funding this year to hire a second contractual employee, so not a full-time or part-time employee of the county, but somebody that would work for us contractually to expand on a lot of those programs, and we're really excited about that. That will also come along with, we have a new seed drill coming this year and additional funding for our local grant program through a grant that I wrote last year with the assistance of some of my board supervisors. So we're trying to bring some more money and resources into the county through some grants. I want to give a shout out to my board. I know that you guys don't come to meetings often. I would love for you guys to take turns attending or have an appointee to our board meetings. We're doing some really great stuff, but we have an awesome board. I would love for you guys to meet them. There's some things going on at the Eagle Valley plant, some ash pond closures, and we have board members who have really been staying on top of that and connecting with IDEM.
They just
and
ruled on that, did they not?
the Hoosier Environmental Council, yes,
read that.
and our local legislators. And behind the scenes, what you guys aren't seeing is a lot of hard work to ensure that there has been additional discharge water testing implemented because of some of the actions of our board members. They have spoke at EPA hearings in Chicago and regularly at the State House when new legislation comes through. They're really keeping an eye on that situation, and we all need to. When these ponds are closed, they're closed for good, and we want to make sure that they're closed properly and safely, and that our groundwater is not, or surface water is not going to be affected for generations to come. So I want to applaud them. We have a really remarkable group of individuals who do a lot of volunteer hours unpaid to make sure that, not just these, I think like these short-term effects are happening with the conservation programs that we do yearly, but like they're looking long-term at what's going on in Morgan County. So we really appreciate your guys' support and look forward to doing lots of great things.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Any
you.
questions for
Yeah.
Lisa? Can't
Thank
thank you guys enough.
Appreciate it.
Doug, David, thank you so much. Mr. Bill Mitchell.
These people need more funding. We had a meeting last Wednesday. I'm an associate. I cannot be on the board because I'm an elected official. But these people, we had the area man here, or video, and he said that we are the most active county that he has in his area. And by David Mao being here, he's a leader of a lot of things in other counties. So we are really proud to have these 2 or 3, 5 board members to do a good job in the county, and they are hard on Eagle Valley out there. They are hard on them, because we're the ones that, they stand up to, we have individuals very hard on stuff, and he's a part of the board member, so these people really do a good job, and a lot of counties are envious of our planting of trees, river valley, river cleanup, stuff like that. They're envious of this county, so hands out to these, her
Yep.
board members.
I agree.
Thank you, Bill. I'd like to second that comment that I see so much, actually, David, this year kind of saved me a cow or two. I had some hay, and if you want to know any weed in the daggone county, go see Dave, because he'll know the daggone weed. And some are good to eat and some aren't. And he's on it.
Excellent man. He's almost
He's
an
on it.
expert on So
Yep.
we are lucky to have him, and he does get
Would that be edible?
farmed out to other counties around here for his education.
We're glad to have him and glad to do it. I will, well, it's sort of personal, but my first experience with serving the county was on the Soil and Water Conservation District Board. And I did that for 8 years, had no idea what was getting started when I went on it, but in those days, we were talking about T by 2000. Do you remember what that was? That was that's when farmers did away with their moldboard plows and started no-tilling and saving the soil. And we're the benefit, and our generations that follow us are going to benefit from that program that started there. And they have a drill that they use now, and it's a great program. A lot of conservation going on in Morgan, and I appreciate you knowing how well we are looked upon by other places because of what the job is that we do.
Now, that comes to another question, being you're so general with the apprenticeship and everything, what you're doing, maybe we get up to dollars next year?
With that being said, I'd go ahead and entertain a motion for the Morgan County Soil and Water contract. for
Always
the
get caught,
Soil
Bill.
and Water Conservation District. I am so sorry.
I'll make that motion.
So you're making the motion, I'll second. Any further discussion from the board?
First time property taxes go up, Bill will be the first one calling us
Yep.
and raising Cain.
Any questions, comments from the audience? Not hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Passes 3-0. Next order of business is letter of support. This is on the Beard project. Stephen Cox, he actually used to be the Director of Homeland Security, and I can't thank Michael Braun, the new governor, for reappointing him to the Infrastructure and Broadband Administrator position. And I'm fortunate enough to know Steve and also Jeff Goff. Jeff is actually, Steve used to be over Homeland Security, and Jeff was Deputy Director. Jeff is actually one of them that actually watches our 252 property with Cam Lyden, Warren County Conservation Officer, trying to keep all the riffraff out there from poaching and dumping and everything else. So, but this is supporting the broadband across the county. Our hope and intent is to get it to every home in the county, and working with AT&T looks like it's probably going to be the best way. They've already spent a lot of money, but entertain a motion on this letter of support for AT&T furthering our
Josh, do you have
broadband.
something to state?
Kenny did great. That's perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Brian Carter makes a motion that we support this letter.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further questions, comments from Mr. Messmer or from the board? From the audience? Not hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Your capital improvement plans before you, this is for 2025 and 2026. Any questions, concerns on this? Anybody wants to address this? Mr. Messmer, since you was just up, as your golden opportunity if you want to, you don't have to. Amanda wants to address it. All right. This is something that we used to do, and then Dan stopped doing it as county auditor, and I believe it's coming back up, and we're gonna start doing it again.
It is. It is a requirement before the auditor's office can distribute the county's portion of the lit economic development.
Okay.
We are to have a capital improvement plan on file. So as long
Any
as it's in
questions
statute,
for
we
Mr.
do have to
Linda?
have it.
Mrs. Linda? Mrs. Linda.
I read it, I was really interested. Thought I'd never seen something like this. This first time,
No,
No.
no.
I
we
just don't
haven't.
remember it, but it's nice to see it so concisely presented.
That would be thanks to Deb and Josh, I do believe.
Thank you.
I'd entertain a motion on the 2025-2026 capital improvement plan for Morgan County.
Brian Carter makes a motion that we accept as presented.
Got Mr. Collier making the motion, Mr. Adams seconding the motion. Any comments, questions? Comments from the board? Questions from the public? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Before we go to old business, we need to go back up to reorganization. We need to elect a vice president.
Oh.
In case you play hooky.
Oh, no.
Yes.
All right, since we're there, I'll just make a motion, Mr. Collier is vice president. Or I
Speak
can
and he shall
nominate you.
receive.
I'll go ahead and nominate you first, make it legal. Don might want it.
Oh, no, I'm fine. I'm good for a member now. Second.
Second the motion, all those in favor of the motion, Mr. Collier as vice chair for the board, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
If I vote nay, is that 2-2?
Motion carries 2 with Mr., we're just gonna say 3 aye.
Please.
Professional service agreement, Crossroad with Lincoln Hill Road. This was before us last month, and I had some questions and everything, and I talked to Justin again this morning before the meeting, before I even got here on the phone, but, yours, sir.
Yes, so we've got a revised professional agreement. After the last meeting, Eddie and I got our heads together to revise the scope of this. So moving forward, what we're thinking is for the 2 curves that we were talking about making safety improvements on, we're going to do full survey and design on that, get going on that right now. But we are going to do geotechnical investigation and pavement analysis for the whole 3-mile stretch of the road. Upon completion of that, the consultant is going to give us 3 options on what we can do with the road, and they're going to weigh it out with cost versus estimated service life of the road. So once we get that data together, we can put our heads together and make a good decision on how we want to move forward with which respective treatment we want to move forward with. If it is determined that the treatment is something simple, such as a resurface project that we can put together in-house to save cost on design fees, we'll do that. If it is determined that it is something a little more in-depth, we will have to have a supplemental to this contract to add design fee for those in-between points, if you will, from the curves to the limits and everything like that. So with that, if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions for Justin?
I'm glad to see you guys got it worked out where it can be an asset to the county roads, really. And that one's, they don't have many wrecks on it because nobody can drive fast enough, but.
We'd like to keep it that way. Yeah. Yes.
I'd entertain a motion on this professional service agreement between Morgan County and Crossroad Engineering.
Brian Collier moves that we accept this contract.
Got Mr. Collier
Second.
making a motion, second by Mr. Adams. Any further questions from the board? Comments from the audience? Not hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you, guys.
Lovely appointments for 2025. You got to start with the planning commissions right up at the top. You got Melanie DePloy that's up. You got Bill Rumbaugh that's up. You got Bill Mitchell that's up. And I know there was a change in that. The trustees don't have to be on that board now, but I just wanted to throw that out there, so.
So did yours expire? Kenny, did you expire?
No, I'd have to be one of them as well.
What's that?
I'd have to be one of them as well, and I would like to stay on them, but that's up to you guys. Sorry about that, Brian.
Yeah.
Entertain a motion for that. One at a time or all of them?
How many do we get to put on there?
You got Dustin and Brian that's not up that we get put on there. All of them that had the COMM appointments on there, that's all them, plus the one commissioner. You've actually got 6 members on there. Actually, yeah, 6 members.
Right.
Ones that we control, the council's county extension agents got 1, the surveyor by statute is 1, so it's what makes up your board.
Well, I'd like to see Jason Maxwell on that board. And I'd like to see you stay on that board.
And you still got 2 more on there that's up. Do you want to address these 2 and go back to the other 2, or?
Wouldn't that be Brian and Dustin?
No, it would be Melanie DePloy's up, and you got Bill Rumble up as well.
I don't know, is Bill, do we know anything about Bill?
Got his knee replaced.
Good, let's keep,
He was at the last planning commission
Will
meeting.
Melanie do it again? Is that
Oh, I'm
serve,
sure she will.
will that serve for filling the D?
Yes.
Because Ds are hard to find.
Yep, it will.
I'd throw her in with
I would
Jason,
too.
you, and Melanie, and I don't know about Bill.
I'll go with Bill.
We got is that in the form of a motion, somebody?
Well, let's say a motion that we reappoint Mel and Bill, and then we appoint, where'd he go? Maxwell, Jason,
And Kenny?
and Kenny.
Second.
Second by Mr. Collier. Any further questions, comments? All those
Jason,
in-
you're willing to do this, right? We'd talked 3 months ago, but we hadn't talked since then, so I didn't want to hang you out.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Moving on down, Board of Zoning Appeals, looks like John Chapello is the only one that's up this year on that, and I know he does a great job running that meeting and running that board.
Move to approve, John.
We got a motion by Mr. Adams for John Chapello. I'll second the motion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next is the Board of Health. It's going to be Bud Swisher, Charles Bud Swisher, but I call him Bud, to go on the Board of Health Board.
I'll move to approve that. I saw a letter from the board.
And I'll second that motion as well. All those in favor of reappointing Bud, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 3-0. Morgan County Library, John Phillips is in that position. He's up. I have not talked to anybody, so I don't know if Mr. Collier, you have or not out there in your district. But Don?
Well, I'm sure John's usually here at these meetings. Oh, hi, John. Hi. I thought you're usually by Bill.
Yep.
Are you willing to be on the board again?
Okay.
We're pleased to have you. So I'll move that we put John.
I'll
Got a
second.
motion, got a second. All those in favor of putting John on there signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on down, the lovely county attorney.
Boo, and
I'll move to approve.
you spoke too soon.
Vice President. Best Vice President this Commissioners Board's ever seen.
Mr. Adams made the motion. I'll second that motion on in. Any further discussion, Mr. Collier?
Just for the record, if it wasn't people like me, you wouldn't have near the billable hours.
That's true. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next one is Harrison Township Fire District. I know he's not up, but I have been talked to by John Kennedy, the president of that board right now. They have not, and I know he's had an accident, but even before the accident, there's been one board member that we appointed in late '23 that's not done but one meeting. And they would like to have a replacement for him. And I know he was in a pretty bad wreck midsummer, but I know he's had several opportunities and sounds like that's not his desire, I guess. So we need to look into that, and I've talked to a couple people about it already since talking to John last week and not found anybody yet, but just let you guys know, if you know anybody in Harrison Township, it's got to be a Harrison Township resident, so. Moving on down, you've got, oh my lord, Vicki Kivitz on the Community Correction Advisory, that is up. You've got Susie Lips on here, that's not on the board now, but, well, she is on the board now. To be reappointed, you also have myself, Keith Slashbrook, Marty Lambert. And actually, myself, I'm still good till 26, I guess, so I'm sorry. But if I can get a motion on them, unless you guys have other wishes, but it's Vicky Kivett, Susie Lips, Keith Lashbrook, who runs IDT and in Dream Team. Marty Lambert was his treasurer for year and year, his right hand at IDT, and that's all that we have up, it looks like.
I'll take a move for the three of them.
We got a motion by Mr. Adams. I'll second the motion. All those in favor of appointing them, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ooh,
We'll do an asterisk on that. I'm in on that vote. I'm just making sure that the one opening for the lay position minority, there's been no recommendations back to us for that, so we may have to
come back on that
come back to
one.
that
I
at the
understand.
next meeting or two.
I missed that one. Sorry, Brian.
No, you're good. You're doing a great job. This is the most
Moving on
tedious
down
thing
the
we do.
list. Alcoholic Beverage Board, Howard McCormick served us well on there with Patty Dow and with Alan Myers, but Howard's the only one up. I've not talked to Howard in the last few months, or I'd asked him, but I know he's done a great job, and I'd go ahead and make that motion to reappoint him, and take the blame if he don't accept it, but.
Second.
Yeah, first and a second for Howard McCormick on the Alcoholic Beverage Board. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Moving on down, you got Chris Lambert on the Monroe Township Fire District, as well as Mike Wagner. Mike's on that board for many years, does an awesome job out there. That's the only two that's up right now, unless you guys have somebody else in mind. Not, I'd entertain a motion on Mr. Lambert and Mr. Wagner.
So move those gentlemen.
Got a first and a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. For Monroe
Aye.
Township Fire District, aye. Motion carries 3-0. 3-0. Morgan County Regional Sewer Board. Mary Hedrick, Harold is up, it looks like. Commissioner appointment. Pardon me? We've already done all that?
Yep.
Good deal, thank you. Next one is your Tax Board of Appeals, Linda Bryant and Jan Stroud's up. They've been on there, I know both of them for quite a while, and I know Reva would probably appreciate, keep working with them two ladies, but
I'll move to approve.
Second.
got a first and a second to reappoint Linda Bryant and Jan Stroud. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 3-0. The next one, Economic Development Corporation Board, you got Terry Brock as a commissioner appointment, and also Mr. Collier is.
We have pardon me, I want to go back up here just a second.
Uh-oh, where are we going back to, Don?
Public Defender Board, I see we have an appointment, but I don't see who it is.
Public Defender Board, hold on, I gotta go back to the wrong page. Public Defender Board. Where are you
Was that-
seeing? Oh, right there it is.
Is that Dean?
Judge appointment.
Pardon? That's what I thought. I don't see a current.
They're there till they daggone are not there. That's what it looks like to me. And who's on that board is Roderick Bray, Dale Coffey, and Dean Mayfield. So,
Well, we'll work on that one.
moving along, we still had the Regional Workforce Board. I'm on there now. I'd be more than glad to share that with Mr. Adams or Mr. Collier.
I think it got on that, but in a different manner. They needed an elected official that was replaced Jeff Wolf up in Boone County, so I was appointed chairman.
You was a good deal, so you're already there.
Yeah.
Don Adams. Did you catch that, Deb? Thank you.
Nope, we're just gonna do it. make the motion.
I'll second the motion. Don Adams going to Regional Workforce Development Board.
Did you second it or make the motion after I made the motion?
Oh, I'll second it. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Collier, and thank you, Deb. Moving on down, we're now to the redevelop.
I'll stay on. And I'm sure Terry will too.
I'll make the motion. We appoint Terry Brock and Brian Collier to the Regional or Economic Development Corporation Board.
Second.
Second by Mr. Adams. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0.
Hey, real quick on a side note and for the public to know, that board's, we're actually doing quite a bit. So, you know, I'm calling in on the recruits. We got a lot of outside interest of corporations and businesses looking at our beautiful county, and hopefully we can capitalize on some of that to coordinate everything and have good future growth.
I agree. Moving on down to the redevelopment commission, you have Jeff Pitkins on there right now, Brad Shields, Carol Snyder, and Dr. Jake Allen. They all do a great job on there, and
Move to approve.
I'll second the motion. Any further questions from the board or from the audience? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Moving on down, you got Michelle Keller that's serving right now on the Convention Visitors and Tourism Commission. And you also have Ann Langford serving on there as well, both of them. I've not talked to either one of them, but I've talked to Ann, but not about this. But I know they do a great job on there. Have you talked to Michelle and Brian? I know she lost her father, but.
I think she'll serve again, and if not, I'll take the blame on this one.
Okay. In the form of a motion,
Yes.
both of them? Second by Mr. Adams. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. I think that is all of them, right, Deb? Mr. Adams, it's all yours on the art advisory report on the bicentennial park features.
I'll make it as brief as I can. We, by ordinance, or resolution, appointed a committee, art committee, to help with the design and what we're gonna do with art in the new building. And actually, it's gonna extend to the grounds and extend to the old courthouse. The pressing element right now was a feature in the, they're getting ready, doesn't look like they're doing much today or tomorrow, but the Bicentennial Park is moving really rapidly. The whole project's moving rapidly. We're going to open in July, which is amazing. We're going to be looking, the first thing we really had to look at was the Bicentennial Park. There is I talked to Dan Emerson from Monrovia. He has a thing called Aquatic Design, and he showed me a very interesting feature. I'll try to show you guys a picture later. It's about 5 foot tall. It's a bubbler. It's not spraying anything. It's made out of, it's very rustic looking. The location of it was a little bit of an issue because we had a water line that was kind of interfering. But we also had a place that was designated to be a monument, which was right out the window over it's a little farther up towards the building. He redesigned that, put a sidewalk around it, took the site where the monument was going to be was cement and a 3-foot cement pad. And we're going to put we'd like to put the monument there with a sign next to it. Monuments are kind of odd. You know, what do you put on it? Well, the bubbler is good for contemplation and relaxation, which we're putting that right next to a place where people can do that, benches and tables, and people will sit and visit, and a little bubbler will be nice. That was the ideal spot. And there was some discussion about it. Not everybody agreed. They had some other places that they preferred, but I think once they see that that's a good, first of all, we don't have to worry about a monument, which I wasn't sure what we were going to do. I'd like to dedicate that monument to, and we can do it anytime you so please, but right now, or how you can reword this, but I'd like to dedicate that monument. I'm always about service from our people. There's a lot of them out here in this room that have served. Your soil and water conservation boards, everything. It takes volunteers to make things work. And so I'd like to put a plaque on that water feature there where the monument was to go that says dedicated to those who have served and are serving the Morgan County community. And I think that'll pretty well satisfy the monument idea. And it'll also give the people sitting there on the benches kind of a quiet time. And if you've never, I'll go one step farther and, shut up a little while. I ride my bike a lot up at Plainfield on the trail. And my favorite place up there is a place called Friendship Park. And it's got a water feature, and it just kind of drips. And I take my lunch, and when the weather's good, and a book, and sit there. It's just a neat place. Water features have a relaxing element to them, and I'm so glad to see we're going to have one because I think it's going to do exactly what we want to have done and beautify it. The thing that's really cool about this one, though, is that it's year-round. He showed me a picture of the one that's up by Westfield, and it's got all this pretty ice hanging on it. And we can also, if Martinsville gets to the sectional finals, we can go out and paint it blue and red, or not paint, but dye it. And we can do all kinds of things with the feature. And it's also got lights. It's small lights to shine up. So it'd be quite a nice feature for the park. And I'm very, very pleased to present that to the commissioners. They needed to get started on it. You'd think in the middle of January you wouldn't have to fool with it, but they're ready to go. They've already started. So that's my recommendation. We go ahead and approve that. Location and the feature.
We accept your proposal.
We got that in the form of a motion by Mr. Collier. I'll second the motion. Any further discussion from the board? Any comments from the public? Questions? Not hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
You have a tort claim in front of you by Melissa Horschel from Browns Crossing area.
Eddie, can you explain, are you familiar with this? Have you seen this tort claim? On the pine tree?
Trimming the tree out there at Browns Crossing. Want to come up to the stand here, Eddie, and get you on recording. I let Mr. Mitchell by because of his age. You're young enough.
Can we get a picture of what you're doing?
We didn't get Mr. Bill recorded very good, so.
I need to run back out and take a look at it. I've seen the tree before and sent my guys out there. That is a road that's getting paved this year, that whole addition over at Browns Crossing, correct?
Yes.
We went through and done all the tree work on all these roads. We left that tree at first and didn't trim it back. It's a big pine that come out into the road. The school bus, it was dragging the whole top of the school bus every time. It was a big canopy through that whole intersection, or the whole street, all the way back to the roundabout, and cul-de-sac, I mean. So I told him to go back and trim it off. And a pine tree, honestly, it's better to cut it back at the tree instead of just trimming off an edge. It just makes it look goofy, and everything needed opened up and cut back. And people don't like it, but trim your own trees and it wouldn't have this problems where I'm at on it. Yeah, I don't know. I have to go measure it, see if it's out of the right of way, but if we didn't cut it back, it's really gonna look goofy to cut it off 10 feet back, cut it off, you might as well take the limb off and he won't have that problem anymore. But that's where we're at with it. It was hitting school buses, there was complaints, so we cut it off. And we didn't cut the tree down, but we did trim it back. And along with every, it was a bad canopy over there. So I'll follow up and go get measurements to see how far out of a right-of-way we might have been. But don't know what we're gonna do with it at that point. It's done now.
I'd entertain a motion on this. If there's no questions for Eddie.
Do we? We got a right of way to go cut things, so, I mean, do we send this on to insurance, or?
I wouldn't let them deal with it. That's just my 2 cents.
I mean, we cut the brush back. We didn't cut the tree down, so,
Yeah.
it had to be
I
done.
understand.
It's part of it.
For what it's worth, I'd send it.
Brian Carter makes a motion that we sent the tort claim to our insurance carrier.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor of the
Thanks,
motion
Eddie.
signify by saying
Thanks,
aye.
Eddie.
Thanks, Eddie. I heard 2 ayes. Did Mr. Adams?
Yeah, I was eyeing,
Sorry.
thinking.
Motion carries 3-0. Next request, you got 2 of them. You've actually got one from the Morgan County Leadership Academy wanting to use this big room on February 13th. And it's an all-day event. Remember, yeah, whole day event. Great group of people, great organization, building our leaders up, so. Do this one first, I'm assuming. The other one is from somebody else.
Brian Carter makes the motion that we accept the request by the Morgan County Leadership Academy to use this facility.
Second that motion. Any further questions, concerns, any comments? I don't see anybody from the Leadership Academy here. I know Beth's not here, but I didn't see anybody else. So, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. The next one is Sue Cox wanting to utilize the building. That would be June 14th from 1 o'clock till 5 o'clock. Eddie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is
He ain't paying attention.
Mr. Eddie Fisher. So it's not the one I thought it was. It's Crystal's mom. Sorry about that.
You're okay.
I thought it
You're
was,
okay.
I thought it was the one, yeah, you're off took. I thought it was the Cox out, Sue Cox out there on 142, forgive me. Thought it was his mother. I'd entertain a motion on this one for the June 14th in the big room here from 1 to 5.
Also move.
Don makes a motion, I'll second. Any further discussion, comments? Not here, none. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Before we get to the good of the county, I know we got some folks in the back of the room here. I know at least 3 of them. Don't know the rest of them. And I believe they're all here on the Bottom Road project. I know I have talked to 3. I did try another one, and his voicemail wasn't set up on Mr. Chase. So I apologize there, but I did talk to your mother, I believe. Okay, but anyway, all I'm gonna say on this, I have talked to several of you. We are looking at this. I will tell you, and I think, I'm not for sure who, but I've got a good friend that lives out there in the area, but it's up on the high ground. It's at the corner, almost at the corner of Gray Road and Henderson Ford Road. We're going to be making contact with John this afternoon, myself personally. That way it's out of the floodplain. I really don't like being in the floodplain. I don't like having the narrow road that it would be on, putting all them trucks on there. But we was going to lose our ARPA dollars if not, and that's why I went ahead and made the motion, and it did pass. They are engineering, but if we can get this nailed down pretty fast with the gentleman that lives out there on Henderson Ford. I've been working with another gentleman for several months, and Mr. Milhon knows that because I've talked to Brent about it as well. And that was north on Henderson Ford Road. Would have been an awesome location right on Henderson Ford. My only thinking is it's out of the floodplain completely. It's on a road that already has traffic that's built for that kind of traffic, and that's just my 2 cents. And I'm hoping, but It's, you folks are all signed up, and I'm just gonna go down the list. Debbie, do you want to say anything?
Good morning. So, my name's Debbie Harker. I'm at 6221 North Bottom Road. And this proposed land here, we purchased this property with my son in March of 2023 with the understanding that this 2 acres was eminent domain from Stephen Cohen. Before we even purchased the property, we did research and found out that that area was in a floodplain. So obviously our realtor confirmed this and said that there would be no structures built on that property because it was sitting in a floodplain. And again, we had it surveyed by Holloway Engineering, and they also confirmed that it was in the floodplain before we purchased it. So we were aware of that. And we have a temporary entrance in the property that was from the previous owner, Mr. Cohen. We knew it would need to change once the road was straightened, that we were told by the Morgan County Highway Department that we were working with, that there was no reason for us to put an entrance in yet until that road came through, and then we could figure everything out as to where everything was going. And that we can continue to use that temporary entrance that we have. We have since put up a gate at our entrance that's on our property line based on the survey that we had done from Holloway Engineering. But just a little over a month ago, we found out about the structure, and we've got some of the best neighbors that we could ask for. The children have been playing in this area. There's this nice hill that we have, is a nice sledding hill. Again, this is our front yard. We're not interested in a structure being there that would bring traffic that obviously is a road that it can barely handle 2 cars, much less some industrial equipment. But when all the neighbors got wind of this structure being planned, of course, everybody was a bit shocked and said that it doesn't make sense to put a structure there. It's not what the land was taken for. This is not an industrial area at all that we see. We've organized, and obviously we put together a petition expressing our concerns. We've all signed it, and that we are opposed to any structure going on this piece of land because the original eminent domain was to straighten the road, and that's kind of what we would like to see happen there, is the road is straightened. I know many of us have called all of you about it or expressed our concerns. We appreciate you calling us back and talking with us about that. So I'll just make it simple. The neighborhood will continue to meet and organize and oppose any structure that goes up there. So that's where we're at. Thank you.
Have you turned in the petition already? Because I've not seen
I can do that. We do have copies of it,
Okay.
so yes, we'll do that, yes. And we do have copies of I know I talked to you about the floodplain.
Yes.
We have copies of the floodplain.
Very
Yeah,
aware of
okay.
that.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Chase, is any questions, Brian or Don, for Debbie, please?
Debbie, who gave you permission to put your roadway into the property?
Well, it was from the previous owner, Stephen Cohen. That was the original entrance to the property. And so when we talked to, originally, all that year, I was working with Grant Collingsworth, and then eventually, I think it was Justin that we had talked with about, we could continue to use that temporary road that was in the front entrance there that's now on the county property. We could do that until the road plans had been made to go in there.
Thank you.
Chase, it's all yours, sir.
Thanks for your comments. Good morning. My name is Chase Harker, 6221 North Bottom Road, Mooresville, Indiana. So I'm an engineer by profession, and we own the property on the bottom road that sits next to the county's land, like my mother said. I want to briefly review my existing concerns with the property, as well as plans moving forward. The county took control of this land in 2023 with the public reasoning and approval being that the proper drainage was needed, as well as rounding off the sharp turn for safer travel of emergency vehicles, farm equipment, and local traffic. overall 2 acres was taken to accomplish this, which we thought was excessive at the time. The only way for us to access our own property is to go through some of the county's 2 acres. And this is because of the large hill, very steep incline. That's basically the only way we can get in is through the current routing, which we would have to change if plans move forward. So since land was taken, we have seen minimal progress to the original claim of eminent domain, and instead large equipment has been parked there, large amounts of dirt has been gathered into mounds, which are now at the, basically right on our property line. And then deer carcasses have also been dumped there, and it does continue to flood every time there's a heavy rain. So overall, it's an eyesore for us and everyone that lives on the street. Now, it's our understanding that a proposal for a salt barn or storage barn in the facility for the Transportation Department is underway. One of the reasons I love Morgan County, and one of the many reasons I moved here, is because Morgan County does a really good job of providing space for industrial, commercial, and residential use. It's a healthy balance of these three that make a great, thriving community. But at the same time, there should be a healthy separation between these areas that take place, which county planning has done well, so as far as I've seen across the whole county. So it concerns me that the county is considering building something which would likely be considered industrial use into a residential area. Bottom Road is very much a neighborhood road and has kids on it, joggers, cyclists. And I actually have a little one on the way, and God willing, he'll be able to sled on that hill as well. And just last week, sledding was done on the hill that feeds into the eminent domain land. So my parents plan to build on the property right next to that, and my wife and I do as well. So we just would not like our front yard to become a high-traffic area with large equipment. So if the project was to move forward, it would devalue the land and future homes as well as neighbor homes. It would be a safety risk to our kids and other kids of the neighborhood. It would cause us difficulty accessing our own land because of the hill in the front of it. There would be noise and light pollution, especially in early hours of the morning. The road is very narrow. Normal cars can barely pass, so an increase in large equipment traffic will make it difficult and more dangerous for all the neighbors. I have concerns with the flooding. It only takes one bad storm to flood the whole corner, which we've seen last year. And it would be a direct negative impact to the original goal of the eminent domain. So in conclusion, Bottom Road is a neighborhood and community, and on behalf of the residents, I ask you to reconsider the location to the best of your ability. Thank you.
Any questions for Chase? My only concern, Chase, if you guys didn't have that access right there, you'd have a fairly tough time trying to get down that grade to the south that you'd have to come down, right? Where you're big.
Yeah, I mean, right, we've tried making it as gradual of an incline to get up there, and it's still pretty steep. So, if we were cut off, if we had to use just the land that we technically own, it would be a lot steeper than it currently is.
Yeah, that's what I thought, so, okay. Yeah, and I know the ground don't really drain there good anyway, period, just because elevation, that far from White Lick, so. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Next, Mr. Brent Milhon. Brent, I'll be right back, but go ahead and get started. I've already talked to you, I know.
He's had too much coffee. He can't pull the tractor over and jump out and hide here.
I own and farm on the 4 sides of the current county highway. And really all I wanted to say was to make the offer to try to work with the county to utilize the current facility and not relocate all this. I think it could easily be done. DNR is going to step in. Kenny and I have been talking about the DNR for about 3 years. I think that's a fair statement.
Quite a while, well, since 19 anyway, for sure, Brent. Probably longer than that, really. It's been quite a while.
I just made the offer to try to work with the county, whatever we could do to preserve the current location and not put ourselves through all of this. That's about all.
Okay. Any questions for Brent?
Yeah, find me 10 to 20 acres at a reasonable price and I'll move it.
I got a couple.
In the county highway.
You already have it. You
20.
have 12 acres on the south end of the current highway property.
We can't put it there.
Brent, that's in the floodway, though. We talked about floodway, and I mean, that's, and me, the only reason I voted for this, and I made the motion to do this, we was gonna lose ARCA dollars. That's why I did this. My concern is, all we're doing is shifting floodplains. I mean, you're going out White River floodplain to White Lick.
I believe that, yeah.
You're in the floodway on Blue Bluff. You're in the floodplain 100-year here. The problem's gonna be, and I know the engineers, you guys can engineer about anything, I understand that, but that little property and trying to meet the county floodplain ordinance, state ordinance, FEMA's ordinance, it's gonna be almost impossible to, and that's why we're still trying, but we've been looking for property. You know, I've been working with Danny
Right.
Mesmer, several people trying to get out of the floodplain, so I mean, we're trying.
One man put a price on 18 acres
Pardon me?
at Centerton Road and Henderson Ford Road. Price was $1 million. He told me that himself.
We're not gonna, for how much acreage?
I believe it's 16 to 18. I'm gonna call that 18. I mean, you just asked me 20.
We don't want to really pay that, but we're looking at property that we are just right down the road at Gray Road.
He priced it to you.
Huh?
He priced it to you.
On Gray Road? I'm talking about a different piece of property.
Centerton and Henderson Ford. I'm just making the point.
Okay.
I would like to help the county if I
But we
could.
still have to represent the taxpayers and they're
Yeah.
not ready to pay $50,000 an acre for
Okay.
country land.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Brent. Appreciate it. Lamar Griggs, I don't see Lamar here, do you? Oh, I do see her back there. I am so sorry, little lady. I think, oh, no kidding. I go to church with Lamar, and I got to talk to her the other day about this project at home, so.
How we know each other. I'm not going to reiterate what the guy said, other than I have tried to drive through that flood water, as the stupid idiot that I am, and it does not work out real well. I was glad I got home because I could feel the car moving, and I saw a little water coming in the bottom of the door, so I'm not going to do that anymore. My question to you is, what do you classify as a government building in your eyes?
Classified
As a
what?
government building?
Anything, government building, anything that's got four walls, it's got a floor, a roof, I mean, it's gonna be a building. If it's a open shed, that's an open shed, a barn's a barn, but this is the salt barn that's gonna have, it's a government building, it's gonna have four walls, it's gonna have a roof and everything.
Okay, okay. So that's why I wanted
It's
to know.
gonna have to be elevated quite a bit because it's in a special flood hazard area. I mean, tremendous amount of flood, and I mean, that flood's right there pretty deep anyway. I seen floods there whenever I was floodplain manager that's 7, 8 foot deep right there. So, I mean, I know what it was in that barn that Morris Cohen had, because I
Yeah.
was very good friends with Morris. I worked with Morris at IU, and good gentleman. So,
Okay.
I know how it floods there.
And then will there have to be an easement on the property, just as property owners have easements? If they put the building there, I mean, how far away from the road? Are you thinking about putting it right up against the
It's gonna have to be.
decline?
It's gonna have to be engineered, and they're gonna dictate that, because they're gonna have to comply with all the ordinances to do that. And I mean, it's not just county ordinances, which ours is probably more restrictive than the state ordinance and FEMA's ordinance, but it's still pretty restrictive.
Okay. Then just out of curiosity, what happened to the road? What happened to straightening the bend? Why wasn't it done?
We just haven't got, that wasn't a priority. I mean, it was a priority at that time to take care of the problems that we had going on out there. But as far as trying to get it built and done, it's not saying that it won't. If we can find another location, it still might get straightened out. But I mean, you know as well as I know, when it floods, where does that water go? Even though the county ditched that corner, tried to do our
Yeah.
best, where does that water go? It goes
Goes
out
into-
into Mr. Milhon's field, because.
And it goes down into the creek.
Yeah, well, eventually it
Yeah.
does, and the groundwater. But I
Right.
mean, there's not a good ditch that goes all the way to White Lick from right there. So I mean, most of it's saturating in the ground eventually, making Mr. Milhon lose some crops and everything else.
Right, I agree.
That's what's happening to it right now.
Right, and that's another concern that I have is the runoff from that. And then I kind of like, even though I don't like to hear the coyotes at night because it makes the hair stand on the back of my neck, appreciate them and the bobcats and the deer and the turkeys, et cetera, and licking the runoff from that, I don't think will be very healthy for them. So, I just have a concern. We'd just love to see you straighten the turnout. And, we'll leave it to the engineers, but
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to see what that turns out, but hopefully this other property owner and will work with us and we can get that other acreage up there off of Gray Road.
can you do a land swap? As in the properties that you own, can you swap that out? Like, I would rather you have trouble moving the recycling bins out of the field in Dallas's front yard as opposed to try to clean up any seepage or contamination of the soil.
Well, and I mean, we gotta control our runoff too, just like everybody else does. I mean,
Right,
that's the
right.
thing, so.
But I say, if you can switch those out, it'd be nice for me because I wouldn't have to drive over to Centerton to recycle. So, all right, gentlemen, thank you for your time. Thank you for returning my calls, all of you.
No
Really
problem.
appreciate it.
Yep.
It was good talking to you. Thank you.
Any questions for
Do you
Lamar?
have anything?
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Next on the list, Haley Summers.
Hello, good morning. I'm Haley Summers, live at 6606 North Bottom Road with my mom and my children. Here to support the neighborhood that we've got going on. We moved in April of 2024, so not quite a year. Love the area. It's quiet. It's regal in its beauty. And obviously, a structure on that corner would be not hideous, wouldn't be great, but would cause some visibility issues as you go around that corner, which we've all expressed is quite the corner. I guess I worry about school buses and first aid coming to our house. We got two very rambunctious boys, and I'm sure we'll have to call somebody at some point for a lovely emergency of some point. So just the concern of safety, and then the runoff of salt and all that kind of good stuff. So I won't act like I know anything about that, but love to see it as it is and straighten it out a little bit. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Next on the list is Bonnie Lamp.
So I am Bonnie Lamp, thank you. My first experience in any kind of county commissioner
Well, welcome.
meeting. So as Haley said, we are a multi-generational family that moved here in April. Sought the area because we just loved it. Sorry, I should say I'm 6606 North Bottom Road as well. We love it and, have really enjoyed getting to know our neighbors and the area. We love it because we can take our dogs on walks up and down the street without hardly any traffic. So when we bought the property, we were told that that corner was going to be straightened, and so that was the kind of impression that we have, knowing that things change, we know that. But, we're here to support all of our neighbors with the petition that this project move to somewhere else, if could be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you very much.
Any questions, guys? Well, that ends all of it.
I'm gonna make one comment, and I probably shouldn't, to all the neighbors. A lot of the straightening out of the road was not as needed once we started taking the previous owner's telephone poles and obstacles that he would throw out on the corner to hit our snow plows and drive them off into the ditch.
And flip them over. I mean, all that concrete telephone poles is ridiculous. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's what you took it for.
Yep.
So we just like to see you follow through.
Appreciate that. Thank you. For the good of the county, anybody? Uh-oh.
Imagine that. I'd like to do that. I owe Eddie, we live in a small community, and even though we are still growing, I like the smallness. I tell people from not around here that John Cougar Mellencamp stole the lyrics to my life song, became a multimillionaire, but that's what I get for going to a bar in Seymour and Bugan. So I learned my lesson, won't ever give him the lyrics again. So just to tell you a little bit, like, one, I was on For the Good of the County, compliment the highway department and all the emergency personnel that battled the storm. Two, I'd like to point out to all the naysayers, and there were several, because now that you have social media, you don't have to be accountable and you don't have to square off with anybody. You can hide behind the telephone screen of social media. In my yard, I measured 4 different places. Down the street, I measured my office at 4 different places to take wind blowing into a factor. I averaged 11.2. I'm an accountant by trade. I'm 11.2. I looked it up in January 5th of 1978, the blizzard of 78. Lo and behold, they earmarked the benchmark, whatever mark, everyone talks about 78, 10.3. 10.3 compared to 11.2. Now, we might have not gotten the blowing, we might have not gotten the snow before or after. We got 4 inches a couple days later. I think we did a phenomenal job, and I want to compliment the highway department for going out there and, and they didn't have the social media. I made comment to one person who was complaining. I said, back then, they didn't wait for the county trucks. People with other vehicles coordinated with the county and helped out at no cost. Farmers plowed Bottom Road and other roads at no cost, so basically so they could get to their cattle and feed them, but that also helped us. So nowadays, we've become so dependent upon 17 big trucks and 7 little trucks to plow, and we've taken in a lot more mileage since 1978. One comment was that these were the worst roads in the 4 counties. Well, what they didn't tell you is that the other 4 counties, 2 of which they alluded to, did not get the snowfall that we did. We were blessed, if my wife's from Wisconsin, so yeah, that snowstorm was a blessing to her. We are blessed to have been dumped on. But he said, maybe we'll raise taxes again, and next year we can do a better job. If anybody would like to know and let me tax you 3 to 4 times what you're paying in property taxes now, which would be Johnson and Hendricks County, their rates, I will promise you I can put 50 trucks out on the road next. I think we did a great job with the number of trucks we did, and I have no intentions of raising for a storm that we've not had since '78 to triple everybody's property taxes. I think that's just crazy, negative, and if you don't like it, move to Florida. So I want to take the opportunity to thank Eddie and his staff. I'd like to thank the emergency personnel that stayed out in it. And I'd like to thank the citizens that stayed off the roads when we declared it red so that we can push the stuff off instead of getting out on it, packing it to ice. Then we have this cold. There's nothing anywhere. Go out to Colorado. Go out to the States. They don't even do this. They don't even push snow. They don't even throw salt they throw some pea gravel down for traction. In Aspen, it blew me away when I was visiting out there. One of the richest little counties, cities in the world. I couldn't even afford to buy pizza in Aspen, but I was there. And they throw pea gravel out. And that's why half their windshields are knocked out too. So Eddie, to you and your crew, I want to thank you. Back to my small town comment.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Poor Eddie last night at Walmart. It's awful to have a school teacher for a wife that's had all his daughters in classroom. I said, hey, isn't that Fisher's kids over there? Audrey's like, yeah. And I said, watch this. So I went up to him. I said, hey, call your old man and tell him that my road looks like, it's just horrible. Tell him to get in right now on Sunday night and plow that road. And she goes, I don't think I'm going to tell my dad that. And I said, I know you don't want to tell him, but I'm telling you, call him. You should have hit, well, who is it? Who is it? How's he know who you are? And that's the thrills, that's the bonuses, and the negativity of living in a one-horse town.
Yeah.
We know each other's kids. We are still a village, and we help raise everybody. Eddie, I think you did a great job.
Thank you.
Amen.
I wanted to say for the good of the county, Highway Department's had its issues over the years and different leaderships and different people and a lot going on. I just want to assure the people of Morgan County that we have done our best. It might look like we're doing 50% to a lot of people, but my guys are putting in 100% and we're getting 90% out of it. Mother Nature controls what happens. But I want everybody to know that these guys have come together and pushed through, some of them over 30 hours without getting out of the truck unless they needed to use the restroom, you know, nonstop. You didn't have that a few years ago. Like it or not, it wasn't that way. But I've took this position to push forward and try to put that together, and I've done it with a lot of good guys. We've got guys that have come together to do this, and we're all working, not just some of us. And that's the good for this county, and I hope people see that it's not me, it's the guys we're putting together and making plans and having this take place. The community that's trying to help out, sometimes I appreciate their efforts, but they make it difficult for us. We put material down on the road, and for people that doesn't understand this process, they say that plows are driving around, they're not doing their plows are up in the air. Why aren't they doing their job? Why aren't they taking care of this? There's a process of putting this material down and letting it set on the roads and get worked in when somebody drives on it. If you put it down and come right back and push this stuff off, you took the material off the road and it's not ever gonna melt until it warms up in the summer. We cover, the average route is about 40 to 50 miles. If one school bus gets off, if there's one crash, that guy is sitting there for an hour and can't plow the rest of that road. We don't have another guy to pull off and come over and help that, or a truck, because they're out taking care of their route. So sometimes we get behind, and as good as it appears to me we done this time, the next time it might not be so good, but believe this, it's not because we didn't try. It will never be that. We will always try, our guys will always push forward, or we will have guys that will push forward and we won't have them guys working here. Just know that you are taken care of. And I hope the next time we do a good job like this, but if we fail, it's not because my guys aren't trying. So I appreciate every one of them guys that stood behind me and done this. I appreciate EMA working with us, the police department. I just talked to Rich just a few minutes ago. Through this whole storm, we had 4 accidents on county roads. You know, people don't know the difference between state roads and city streets and the accidents. County road, he said, had 4 that was reported. So kudos to my guys and everybody that helped us out. So that's what I have for the good of the county, and thank you.
I just hope the next time I don't have to run down your kids to get hold of you.
It's tough.
Yes,
Thank
Bill.
you. Mr. Bill.
I worked in that blizzard of 78. I was in the truck for 48 hours. This committee we have now is a godsend of what we had in the blizzard of 78.
Yep.
We only had 5 trucks, 3 pickups, and you didn't break down. Ed did talk about when you use a truck, you break it down, it has to be part of maintenance. And that means that one section's not going to get taken care of. I went to the blizzard of 78, we had bulldozers out working, we had everybody working in the county, and it kept snowing, it kept blowing. But this time, the money's moved forward, we got more money, we got more things to do. But in 78, I had a lady that lived up in Indianapolis, I was one of the higher ups in the county. She kept calling and said, my road's closed, I can't get home. So I went to her driveway, parked in her driveway one day. Homer Putoff was the boss. I went to her driveway and parked. I had no trouble getting down the road to her driveway. And I asked her, I sat in the driveway, and she come home about 6 o'clock that night. I said, why'd you call in for? Well, I wanted to make sure I could get home tonight without I'm tired, and I want to make sure I get home tonight. And I said, so we had a truck come out here and sat and plow this road out 3 times because the last 3 days because you couldn't get home, and you lied to us. So we put that out that, if you're going to call, and we go out and check that people, they lie. They want people big this county is, how much they want. If they wanna have fancy roads, go to Marion County and stay up there.
I was on their roads, and they got less snow than ours, and our
I know.
roads, if you got off the main highways, their roads up there were worse than ours.
I know it, but see, they got more money, but they live in Indianapolis and transfer to Morgan County because it's beautiful down here. They want the same kind of services that Marion County offers.
I hope they don't get.
A little consideration here, people, for nice, beautiful Morgan County, that we're still behind an 8 ball on public service as far as roads go.
Something I wanted to, Hendricks County and Johnson County obviously surround us. They use pure salt as well. We use sand and salt mixture, so that is a lot easier when you have pure salt. But just to point that out, they should look better, you know, but when you go home at the end of the day and come back and our roads look as good as what theirs does with salt and sand mixed. But, you know, if you see one burning off quicker, that's because they have pure salt. So that is the difference. And I'm looking into, I did up the ratio of salt sand we used this year, probably a lot hotter mix than we normally use. That helped us as well. And I plan on next year maybe turning some of our sand fees and some of our other money to up our salt to where we can put a little bit stronger ratio down to where it burns off really quick. So just wanted to let people know that think that Johnson County or Hendricks County just, man, theirs is gone like that, you know. They put the material in and let it do the work, and so do we, but theirs is the pure stuff, so.
And another thing, when he says he uses a lot of salt and sand, a couple of years, about most journey, 3 to 4 years after you use a lot of salt on the roads start going bad, and then people start complaining about bad roads. So they need to be told that salt eats up roads.
Oh, yeah.
The
How
rain
long?
doesn't
4
tear that
years?
up.
I only got 4 years left, Bill, so I'm okay.
Not necessarily. 4 years later.
Anything else for the good of the county?
The public needs to be intelligent, not conversation with how bad the salt does tear up the roads.
Oh, it does.
To adjourn?
Got a motion to adjourn by Mr. Collier. I'll second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you all for coming. Pardon me? Yeah.
All righty.
We still got a park board meeting too.
Right.